and I'm here to read the biographical sketch of Paul Anthony Pierce. It was done by none other than our own Ms. Mary Boykin. Ms. Boykin, please stand. Teaching as grammar and proper punctuation and composition, and we just want to say we appreciate you for taking the time to write this. She actually had a conversation with Paul, was able to learn a little bit more about him, and so today I'm going to read this in your hearing. I actually went to high school with Paul. We graduated in 1995 from Inglewood High School. He went on to the University of Kansas, and I went on to play at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And so today we want to honor him, and at this time, if I can have your attention, I'm going to read this in your hearing. Paul Anthony Pierce, a biographical sketch. Paul Anthony Pierce stood atop the podium at Staples Center on June 17, 2008, flanked by his jubilant Boston Celtics teammates, with whom moments earlier he had clinched the 2008 NBA Finals by defeating the Los Angeles Lakers. He realized that after 10 years, he had elevated his game to the numbers of the Boston's finest players, the John Havliceks, the Bill Russells, the Bob Costas. The tears streamed. According to Paul, as he held his trophy, there were flashbacks of the blood, sweat, and tears of his career, of the emotions of not having had some good seasons, his ups and downs in games in which he felt that he had not played well. I had put hard work into my game, he says. I had sacrificed. The night of the championship game, all my emotions flowed, for I knew how it feels to be truly victorious and appreciative. The roots of that Apex career honor, though, were gems spread throughout the Inglewood community. Born in Oakland, California on October 13, 1977, Paul played organized basketball first at the Inglewood YMCA. A 6th grader, Paul played on the 7th and 8th grade team. The teams in the YMCA league took on collegiate names. Paul was an Iowa Hawkeye. Though not spectacular yet, Paul admits that he was all right. Later that year, he joined the K-Swiss Pacers, an AAU team that practiced in the gyms of Rogers Park, Darby Park, Inglewood High School. Even games were competitive, especially given his Spark Plug coaches, Harold Jones, Michael Lewis, and Thaddeus McGrew. In September 1991, Paul enrolled at Inglewood High School. He played in the junior varsity team, coached by Patrick Roy. To Coach Roy's surprise and dismay, Paul, who was uncertain of his Inglewood High School career, transferred to Crenshaw High School. Recently promoted as the head coach of the boys' varsity basketball team, Coach Roy inviting Paul to return to Inglewood High School. That resulted in a friendship that lasted over 20 years. Paul made the varsity team as a backup guard. It still puzzles Paul, though why Coach Roy waited 2 months into the season before making him a starter. Paul could come to one conclusion. Coach Roy was really hating on him. Paul says jokingly, Coach Roy offers an explanation. Paul was a guy I planned to cut because I didn't think he was good enough to be on the varsity team. Coach Roy says, but when Coach Roy was forced to play Paul, when limited to just 10 players because of the absence of 4, Paul proved his mettle, earning a permanent spot on varsity. In time, Coach Roy came to appreciate Paul's competitive spirit, stating that whatever sport Paul played, Paul wanted to win. Paul's knack to win is awesome, Coach Roy says. The two played tennis together. Initially, the coach sliced backhand balls, hit with an ace, won the competition. 2 weeks later, Paul won the tennis matches. Next, they competed in ping pong. At first, Coach Roy was the winner. Later, Paul won the matches. Paul is a winner who wants to surpass everyone in anything he does. Coach Roy says, eventually Coach Roy refused to compete with Paul. Looking back, Paul acknowledges that returning to Inglewood High School was one of his wisest decisions. He credits Coach Roy for helping him improve both his dribbling and his shooting. He recalls that Coach Roy pushed him to become a mentally tougher player. I did not work hard in my earlier years, Paul says, but Coach Roy insisted that I develop my talent. Coach Roy also secured spots for Paul at elite high school basketball camps, competitions that allowed Paul to test his skills against foes and other top players. Paul's dream was to play collegiate basketball. He found inspiration and support along the way. There was Harold Miner, a 1989 Inglewood High School alumnus. Paul was said that while he, like other high school players, had their favorite NBA stars, the Magic Johnsons, the Michael Jordans, for example, it was the hometown Miner that influenced him most. Paul followed Miner's career closely. When I saw a guy that actually came from the same neighborhood, played at the same parks, attended the same high school, I felt inspired. Paul says, I watched Harold play at Inglewood High School, at USC, and in the pros. I felt that, like Harold, I too could make it. Always there was family. Paul recalls feeling a great deal of pressure because he tried to live up to the expectations of his family. Jamal and Steve Hosey, Paul's older brothers, had earned NCAA scholarships. Jamal to the University of Wyoming to play basketball, Steve to Fresno State University to play baseball. No one more greatly influenced Paul's work habits and motivation than Miss Lorraine Hosey, his mother. He acknowledges that as a child, he often felt frustrated because his mother, a nurse by profession, then was not frequently at home. He said it was hard at that time to understand he was so young. Paul says, but my mom worked long hours to put food on the table for her 3 sons. Later, I realized that she also worked so much so that I could have the shoes and shorts I needed to go out and play basketball. Family now also includes Julie Landrum, his wife, and Brianna, the couple's daughter. Paul holds fond memories of friends and school activities during his years at Inglewood High School. Additionally, he remembers Elijah Mackey, his favorite teacher. Mr. Mackey stayed on me about Algebra 2, Paul says. At the same time, he knew what kind of kid I was. He came to my games, but he made me work in the classroom. The Inglewood High School pep rallies stand out as a fond memory. Paul recalls the classes bellowing out their years: 98, 97, 96, 95. During the season, he especially liked that period during pep rallies when basketball players came to the gym and offered up their showmanship. A highly recruited high school player, Paul enrolled at the University of Kansas during the fall of 1995. Other schools of interest were UCLA, USC, Arizona, Cal, and Oregon. Had he not attended Kansas, Paul surmises that he would have likely attended Oregon. But Kansas is college basketball. The dedicated fans, the ear-splitting noise at Allen Fieldhouse, the top-notch NCAA players who prepare themselves for prime performance. Furthermore, Paul felt that Kansas provided fewer distractions than attending a school locally would have. It was during his freshman year at Kansas, then coached by Roy Williams, that Paul was convinced that, yes, he could play in the NBA. Suddenly, he recalled what Coach Roy had told him during his senior year at Inglewood High School. Paul, you can make the NBA and be a pro, Coach Roy had said. In addition to his work in the basketball floor, Paul takes great pride in the fact that during the second semester of his junior year at Kansas, he earned a 3.0 grade point average. He still plans to return to the university to complete studies for his bachelor's degree. Paul Pierce was the number 10 NBA draftee in 1998, selected by the Boston Celtics. He believes in the Celtics tradition, that of being both a storied and historical franchise. When you talk about the NBA, Paul says, you talk about two teams, the Celtics and the Lakers. They are the most storied franchises since they have tradition of past and current great players and championships. Paul's achievements are numerous. At every level of his career, he has played exceptionally well. These are among his accomplishments. Boston Celtics 2010 NBA Finals MVP, 2010 NBA All-Star, also in 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2008, and 2009. You got it. 2010 NBA three-point contest winner. 2009 All-NBA second team. 2006 50-point game against the 2004 USA Basketball Summer Olympics team. 2003 NBA regular season leader, total points 2,144 points. 2002 member of the U.S. national team in the International Basketball Federation FIBA World Championship. 1999 NBA All-Rookie First Team. The University of Kansas 1998 First Team All-America. 1998 MVP of the Big 12 Conference Tournament. 1997 through 98 member All Big 12 First Team. 1996 Big East Freshman of the Year. Inglewood High School. 1995 All-American, 1995, Davy Breeze Player of the Year, 1995, 1994, First Team All-CIF, 1995, 1994, 1993, MVP, Bay League, 1994, Best in the West selection, #1 vote getter, 1994, 1995, Street and Smith All-America, 1994, California Interscholastic Federation CIF Southern Section title. Dubbed the Truth by Shaquille O'Neal because of offensive and defensive skills, Paul founded The Truth, his charitable organization that benefits disadvantaged children in the greater Boston area and in Inglewood. This organization is a collaboration of the following outreach initiatives: Project Hope, Read to Achieve, Pierce's Playground, Family Fun Day, Paul Pierce Turkey Giveaway, and the Paul Pierce Celebrity Softball Challenge. Paul's life indeed has been one of which dreams are made. What has he learned during his journey? Discipline and hard work. Paul responded, he has learned humility too. A basketball star gets much attention, he says, but I have been to the bottom in both basketball and in life. Through it all, I know what it means to be appreciative. This 21st day of September 2010, Inglewood High School honors Paul Anthony Pierce, and his number 34 high school jersey is retired.
Good morning. I want to begin, I want to get this out of the way. For you, my brother, I know you remember this. It is the very last one. Many of you probably don't know, or you may not understand, but you are here in a room filled with greatness. I just want to take a little short while to tell you about a few of those greatnesses. First of all, the young woman who just spoke to you Ms. YANICK Clay is a great athlete and a great scholar in her own right. I'll toot my own horn right now because I'm a genius. I had the good sense to hire a great basketball coach in Patrick Roy. I watched Pat Roy play basketball here at Inglewood High School as a center. I taught here for 19 years in a room that will live forever in infamy, room FA2. Anybody been to room FA2? Yeah. Well, there's one thing that always existed in room FA2, especially when I taught there. Whether you were an athlete or not, if you didn't pass my class, you can't play. I spoke those words to Ms. Clay, Mr. Roy, spoke those words to Harold Minor, spoke those words to Dedrick Rollison that you know as Mac 10. Spoke those words to our honoree today, Mr. Paul Anthony Pierce. Each and every one of them rose to the occasion. They didn't run away. They met the challenge, and specifically, Paul met the challenge extremely well. I never had to worry about whether or not he was going to do his homework. I never had to worry about whether or not he was going to pass one of my exams. I never had to worry about whether or not he was going to be respectful whether I was watching him or not. I never had to worry about whether or not he was going to embarrass his mother. I never had to worry about whether or not he would bring disgrace to the name of the Sentinels. Your challenge today, will you live up to that? As students, as athletes, and my prayer is that you will. And I'm going to close now, but I want to leave you with one thing. For the record, I am a staunch Laker supporter. However, as LeBron James learned, as Ron Artest learned, as Shaquille O'Neal had to admit, you can't handle the truth.
At this time, I would like to take just a few moments to talk to you about Paul Pierce, the player. I first met Paul when he was a freshman here at Inglewood High School, and he played on our junior varsity basketball team, as you heard in the highlight. Paul was about 5'9", a little chubby, but definitely a decent basketball player. But it really all got started Paul's sophomore year. I had recently been hired, as Mr. Mackey alluded to earlier. I became the head basketball coach here Paul's sophomore year. So Paul actually went from his freshman year to sophomore playing varsity. But I had my doubts because he was still a little chubby. So what happened was, we were playing in a Christmas tournament over the vacation, and 3 of my players had went out of town. So I was forced to bring Paul to the game and to the tournament, and a couple of guys had fouled out, and I said, wow, I got to put in Paul Pierce. So I put Paul Pierce in the game, and he scored 10 points, had about 6 assists, 5 rebounds. So the next game, I was like, let me see what this kid can do. he went from 10 points to 16 points. Then the third game, he went from 16 to 25. So I was like, man, I was going to make a big mistake. And sometimes coaches do make mistakes. Michael Jordan's high school coach cut him. But one thing that I did, I thought that was right. Paul had left me with the Crenshaw, and I got him back. Let me spend some time to talk to you about Paul Pierce, the man. We have a saying here that go out through Inglewood, and it's called keep it real. Paul Pierce is that individual. If he says something, he's going to tell you the truth. If you don't like it, he's going to tell you he don't like it. If he loves it, he's going to tell you that he loves it. But one thing I will say that Paul has always come back. I had the opportunity to run Paul Pierce's basketball camp here at Inglewood High School for 10 years while he was in the league. And he always gave back to the youth. He put in a lot of time and a lot of effort. When kids couldn't afford to come to camp, he would pay 200 kids out of his pocket. And even nowadays in the NBA, he's a superstar. When he won a championship in 2008, Paul Pierce called me up. He took myself, one of my assistants back then, Scott Collins, and he flew us out to Boston. He bought us all NBA championship rings, a replica of his ring. And he's just always been a really just individual who always wanted to give back and wanted to support the youth. And because of that, I have to take my hat off to Paul Pierce, because he came to me and he said, I want to put time back into my high school. So I had a meeting with our principal, Ms. Deborah Tate, and we sat down and we talked about how we can put this assembly together. And Paul said, Ms. Tate, whatever you want to do, however you want to run it, however you want to set it up, I'll be here to support you. Finally, he came back. He was like, Carol, how good is your team? I said, we're going to be pretty good this year. Just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, he came into practice, and he says, I'm going to run the practice. He says, Pat Ward, excuse yourself. And for my players that are sitting here on the front row, it was just awesome for them. I got calls from the parents talking about kids that going on, I know Paul Pierce, I know Paul Pierce. With no further ado, I would like to introduce to you the truth, Paul Pierce.
So I just like to thank you guys for having me back. I also want to start off by thanking God and what He's meant for me in my life. I'd like to thank my mother for her attendance tonight, for all that she's happy to do to put up with me. I wasn't an easy kid to deal with as a young child. And I'm just going to share some stuff about myself. I know a lot has been shared about me. I want to share some stuff maybe you don't know. I want to begin by telling everybody I was born in Oakland, California. The youngest of 2 older brothers, Stephen and Jamal, who played basketball and baseball respectively. What you looking for? She's only 2, so excuse me. Jamal, my oldest brother, was a basketball player at the University of Wyoming. And Stephen, my other brother, played baseball at Fresno State, University of Fresno State. Went on to be drafted by the San Francisco Giants. So I had plenty of motivation growing up. At the age of 8, I moved from Oakland to Los Angeles, and at the age of 11, to the city of Inglewood, where I fell in love with the game of basketball. During the 6th grade, I began attending Oak Street Elementary School and joined the Inglewood YMCA youth basketball team. Then moved on to Crozier Junior High School, and finally right here to Inglewood High, where my foundation is laid. I remember wanting to go out for the basketball team so badly, and the dream of going to college as my brothers did. But to do so, I knew I had to keep my grades in check, which didn't come easy. I wasn't always the best student, but I know when I applied myself, I was a really good student. I knew that I had to have my education in order to go on to college and be eligible for basketball. So, I really want to stress the importance of that, because people don't realize that everyone isn't going to become a professional athlete like myself. I was lucky, I worked hard, the chances, are slim, but, I had a dream, I stuck with it, I worked hard, I sacrificed, I did what I had to do, and, sometimes you do what you have to do and it's not always enough, but I encourage you, you always got to have a plan B, and I think, if I didn't play basketball, I majored in crime and delinquency, criminal justice at the University of Kansas, where I wanted to become an FBI agent or a detective, somewhere along that line. I grew up watching a lot of detective shows, and I just grew an interest in that. And I remember I had an internship lined up the summer of my junior year right before I turned professional. So that if basketball never worked out, I knew I had something to fall back on, my education. And as you heard earlier, I had a 3.0 my junior year. So I was prepared either way. If it wasn't the basketball, I was prepared to move on in life. And I just think, as us as young students, as young adults, we should always think about our plan A, our dreams, also a backup plan B, because it's real out here in the world. It's real. In a year or two, you're not going to have your parents waking you up telling you to get to class, waking you up telling you you got to do your homework. It's time to be a grown woman, it's time to be a grown man, and that's what's helped me out. Reason why I went to Kansas, to get away from home and to grow up and be a man. There's a couple people that I want to, kind of put out there. You kind of heard their names. They're a big inspiration for me, not only in basketball, but in my life. Those two people are here today. Patrick Roy, obviously my high school coach, and Scott Collins. I remember I met Scott when I was a 6th grader. I was going to Rogers Park, and I played in the police athletic basketball league, and that's where Scott first noticed me. When I was 6th grade, played in the athletic league for like 3 or 4 years. We played basketball, volleyball, all different kinds of sports. And then I went to Inglewood High School, where we continued our relationship. And I just want to say, thank you for Scott, because he's been like a father figure for me, a role model for me. If I really ever had a chance to really thank him, I had 2 older brothers growing up. By the time I moved to Inglewood from Oakland, they were already at the house, going to college, and off to work. And I just felt like these 2 individuals kind of were like fill-ins for those guys. Scott would pick me up in the morning, bring me to the gym 6 a.m. in the morning. He would cut my hair. He would take me wherever I need to be. And it was just like those little things were a major influence on me as a kid. And I think even today we share a special relationship. And I don't know where I'll be without these guys. So I want to say thank you, Scott, for all you've done and what you did to me in my life. I want to thank you for being a friend, a coach, a mentor, and a motivator. You meant so much in my basketball career, being able to push me to thrive on the court and off the court. And we still continue a special relationship today, and I just want to thank you for what you've done for me. The memories I share with my teammates, especially in us winning the CIF championship in 1994, will forever be a part of who I am as a player. And I have some guys that I played with. I like them to stand. I see them all in the back. Chris White, Kevin Elliott, Carl Carroll. I see John Ray. I see the best. Ricky Wilson. These guys were in high school and played with me in high school. So I want to give those guys a back shout out and thank you also. Everyone here is like family to me. My coaches, my teammates, and everyone in this community. Inglewood will always be my home. I also would like to give a special thanks to Harold Bynum. He not only inspired me, knowing that he grew up right here, walked the same campus I walked, but he gave me faith knowing that I can one day fulfill my dreams and become a college athlete and an NBA player. So I know Harold's not in attendance tonight, but for all of you who don't know who Harold Bynum was, he was here before me. He actually played a USC. He got drafted by the Miami Heat, and he was my inspiration at Inglewood High School growing up. So I give thanks to him, and hopefully one day we'll get him back here and have his jersey retired. As he is an inspiration to me, and these people that we talked about today are inspiration to me, hopefully that I can be an inspiration to others in my journey and my walk of life, not only in sports, but just in life in general. So to Inglewood, thank you so much for this honor. It is beyond words how meaningful this is to me. Especially because Inglewood High School is where I first fell in love with the game of basketball. I still love playing it every day, and doing what I love for a living is a dream come true, especially having to be at the NBA level. So thank you.
At this time, I'm going to ask Paul if he can step over to the jerseys. And on the behalf of the students and staff of Inglewood High School community, this is the continuation of your giving back, or should I say mentoring journey with the students of Inglewood High School. It is with great honor, pride, and Sentinel School spirit, I, the principal of Inglewood High School, declare the Inglewood High School basketball jersey number 34, worn by Paul Anthony Pierce, Inglewood High School graduate, class of 1995, to be placed among the archives of outstanding achievement of Inglewood High School alumni. At this time, will the boys varsity basketball team present and reveal the jersey to Paul. You may take the paper off. At this time, I'm going to ask that Pat Roy, did you want to come to the mic?
Last but not least,